Lazy Jack. Once upon a time, there was a boy whose name was Jack. Jack lived with his mother. They were very poor, and the old woman made her living by spinning. But Jack was so lazy that he did nothing but lie in the sun in the hot weather in the summer, and sit by the fireplace in the winter. So people called him Lazy Jack. His mother could not make him work. At last, one Monday, she said to him, "If you don't begin to work for your porridge, I will turn you out of the house." These words made Jack do something. So on Tuesday, he went out and hired himself for a day to a neighbouring farmer for a penny. But when he was going home in the evening, he lost the penny. "You silly boy," said his mother, "you should have put it in your pocket." "I'll do so another time," answered Jack. On Wednesday, Jack went out again and hired himself to a cowman. The cowman gave him a jar of milk for his day's work. Jack took the jar of milk and put it into the large pocket of his jacket. But the milk was all spilled long before he got home. "Oh, you should have carried it on your head," said the old woman. "I'll do so another time," answered Jack. On Thursday, Jack hired himself again to a farmer. In the evening, the farmer gave him a large, soft cheese for his work. Jack took the cheese and went home with it on his head. By the time he got home, the cheese was all spoilt. He lost part of it, and part of it was in his hair. "You foolish boy," said the mother. "You should have carried it very carefully in your hands." "I'll do so another time," answered Jack. On Friday, Lazy Jack again went out and hired himself to a baker. The baker gave him nothing for his work but a large cat. Jack took the cat and began to carry it very carefully in his hands. But in a short time, the cat scratched him so much that he let it go. When he got home, his mother said to him, "You silly boy, you should have tied a string to it and dragged it along after you." "I'll do so another time," answered Jack. On Saturday, Jack hired himself to a butcher, who gave him a shoulder of mutton for his work. Jack took the mutton, tied a string to it, and dragged it along after him. By the time he got home, the meat was quite spoilt. This time his mother was very angry, for the next day was Sunday, and she had only cabbage for Sunday dinner. "You foolish boy," she said to her son, "you should have carried it on your shoulder." "I'll do so another time," answered Jack. On the next Monday, Lazy Jack again went out and hired himself to a cattle keeper, who gave him a donkey for his work. Jack put the donkey on his shoulders and began to walk slowly home. Now it happened that on his way home he passed the house of a rich man. The man had an only daughter, who was a beautiful girl, but she was deaf and dumb. She had never laughed in her life, and the doctors said she would never speak till somebody made her laugh. Now it happened that this young lady was looking out of the window when Jack was passing with the donkey on his shoulders. The sight was so funny and strange that she burst out laughing, and at once found that she could hear and speak. The father was so happy that he married his daughter to Lazy Jack, and Jack became a rich gentleman. They lived in a large house, and Jack's mother lived with them in great happiness until she died. Answer the questions. Number 1. Who did Jack live with? Number 2. Did Jack have any brothers or sisters? Number 3. What did Jack's mother make her living by? Number 4. Did Jack help his mother? Number 5. What did Jack like to do? Number 6. How did Jack's mother make him work? Number 7. When did Jack begin to work? Number 8. Did he go to work every day? Number 9. How many times did Jack hire himself to a farmer? Number 10. What did Jack do with the penny he earned? Number 11. Who gave Jack a donkey for his work? Number 12. Where did the young lady see Jack? Number 13. What made the young lady laugh?
Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar. Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar lived in a vinegar bottle. The bottle was made of glass, but it had a wooden door. One day, Mrs. Vinegar was sweeping her house when the broom went right through the roof and broken glass fell everywhere. She was very upset, but Mr. Vinegar tried to comfort her. "Let's go out into the world and seek our fortune," said Mr. Vinegar. "I'll take the door and carry it with me on my back. It may be useful." They walked all that day and at night entered a thick forest. They were both very, very tired. Mrs. Vinegar did not want to sleep on the ground because she was afraid of wild animals. Then Mr. Vinegar said, "My love, I'll climb a tree and drag up the door. You follow me." So Mr. Vinegar climbed a tree and set the door between the branches, like a platform. They both laid down on the door and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, they were wakened by the loud voices of some men on the ground below. The men were robbers, and they had met to divide their money. Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar were very frightened, and they trembled so much that the door fell to the ground. This gave the robbers a fright, and they all ran away. Poor Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar sat in the tree and held on to the branches until morning came. Then they climbed down. They lifted up the door and found 40 golden guineas under it. They were very happy, and Mrs. Vinegar jumped for joy. Then they began to think what best to do with the money. "Now, my dear," said Mrs. Vinegar, "I'll tell you what to do. Take these 40 guineas, go to the neighbouring town and buy a cow at the market. I can make butter and cheese, which you will sell, and then we shall make a fine living." Mr. Vinegar agreed, took the money, and set out for the town. When Mr. Vinegar reached the market, he liked the very first cow he saw, which was a red one. I should be the happiest man in the world if I owned that cow, said Mr. Vinegar. He offered all his 40 guineas for the cow, and the owner sold his cow gladly, because 40 guineas was far more than she was worth. So Mr. Vinegar went off with the cow, but Mr. Vinegar soon got tired of driving the cow along. He came to a man who was playing the bagpipes. People were listening and children were dancing as he played. Money fell into his cap when he held it out. I should be the happiest man in the world if I owned those bagpipes, said Mr. Vinegar. So he offered his beautiful red cow in exchange for the bagpipes. The owner of the bagpipes agreed to take the cow and gave Mr. Vinegar the bagpipes. So Mr. Vinegar went off with his bagpipes. But money did not fall into his cap when he held it out. He had no idea how to play the bagpipes, and when he blew, he only made the most terrible sounds. That frightened everybody away, and the children even threw stones at him. As Mr. Vinegar walked along with the bagpipes under his arm, he felt very unhappy, and his hands got very cold. Then he passed a man with a fine, thick pair of gloves on his hands. I should be the happiest man in the world if I owned those gloves, said Mr. Vinegar. So he offered his bagpipes in exchange for the gloves. The owner of the gloves agreed and took the bagpipes. So Mr. Vinegar put the gloves on his hands and went on his way. He had walked a long way by now and was very tired. So, when he met a man who was walking quickly, with a good strong stick in his hand, he said, I should be the happiest man in the world if I had that stick. Then Mr. Vinegar offered his warm gloves in exchange for the stick. The owner of the stick agreed and took the gloves. So Mr. Vinegar went on his way with the stick in his hand. When at last Mr. Vinegar reached the forest where he had left his wife, a bird flew out of the tree and began to call out, Ha ha! Mr. Vinegar, you are a foolish man. You spent your 40 guineas on a cow that wasn't worth 10. Then you changed the cow for bagpipes you couldn't play. Then you changed the bagpipes for a cheap pair of gloves. Then you changed the gloves for a poor stick. And now you've nothing to show but that poor stick, which you could have cut in the forest. You are a silly man. Mr. Vinegar got so angry when he heard the bird, especially as all the bird said was quite true, and he threw his stick up at it. But the stick stuck in the tree, and he couldn't get it down. So he went back to Mrs. Vinegar with nothing at all. No money, no cow, no bagpipes, no gloves, and no stick. And she beat him for it. Answer the questions. 1. Did Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar live in a usual house? 2. What did their house look like? 3. What happened to the house one day? 4. Did it make Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar very upset? 5. What did Mr. Vinegar decide to do to comfort his wife? 6. Where did the couple stay for the night? 7. What wakened Mr. and Mrs. Vinegar at night? 8. Did they speak to the robbers? 9. What made the robbers run away? 10. What was Mrs. Vinegar's idea of a fine living? 11. What did Mrs. Vinegar ask her husband to do? 12. Did Mr. Vinegar buy what his wife wanted? 13. Did he manage to keep it? 14. What made Mrs. Vinegar beat her husband?
Tom Tit Tot. There was once a woman who baked 5 pies and left them on the shelf to cool. When she came back, she found that her daughter had eaten all the pies, so there was nothing for supper. The woman took her spinning wheel to the open door, and as she worked, she sang to herself, "My daughter has eaten 5 pies today. My daughter has eaten 5 pies today." Just then, the king rode by, and he heard her song, but he couldn't catch all the words. So he stopped, got off his horse, and said, "What was that you were singing, my good woman?" The woman did not want to tell him what her daughter had done, so she changed the words and said, "My daughter has spun 5 skeins today. My daughter has spun 5 skeins." The king was surprised to hear this and said, "I've never heard of anyone who could spin 5 skeins a day. I need a wife, and I'll marry your daughter. When we are married, she will do just what she likes for 11 months of the year. But in the 12th month of the year, she'll have to spin 5 skeins a day, or I'll kill her." "All right," said the woman, and she thought to herself, "When the 12th month comes, he'll be so happy that he will forget all about the spinning." So they were married, and for 11 months all went well, and the new queen was happy. She thought the king had forgotten about the 5 skeins, because he never spoke about spinning, but when the last month came, he led her to a little room she had never seen before. There was nothing in it except a stool and a spinning wheel and some flax. "Now spin 5 skeins by the time night comes, or it's off with your head," said the king, and left her. The poor girl did not know how to spin even 1 skein, and she sat down on the stool and cried very bitterly. Suddenly she heard a knock at the door, and she ran and opened it. Outside stood a strange little black thing with a long tail. "Why are you crying?" said the strange little black thing. "I'm crying because I have to spin 5 skeins a day, and I don't know how to spin even 1. If I don't spin them by the time night comes, the king will chop off my head." "I can help you," said the little black thing. "I'll come every morning and take away the flax, and I'll bring it back spun into skeins when night comes." "What do you want for that?" said the girl. "Oh, very little. You just have to guess my name. You can have 3 guesses every night, but if you don't guess right by the end of the month, you'll have to come away and live with me forever. The girl was sure she would guess his name long before the end of the month, so she let him take the flax away. Before night he knocked on the window, and she opened it and let him in. He brought 5 skeins of flax, beautifully spun. "Now what is my name?" he asked. "It's John." "No, it isn't." "It's Bill." "No, it isn't." "It's Dick." "No, it isn't." All the while she was guessing, he twirled his tail. And after the last wrong guess, he twirled it faster and faster, and then flew away out of the window. When the king came in, he was very pleased to see the 5 skeins. "I shan't have to chop off your head today, my dear," he said. "You'll have some more flax to spin in the morning." The next day, the little black thing came again for the flax, and brought back 5 skeins, long before night. This time she guessed David and Adam and Matthew, but none of these was the right one. Towards the end of the month, the girl was in despair, especially as the little black thing was glad, and joy shone in his eyes. On the last evening but one, she guessed the longest names she could think of, as she already tried most of the short ones. She guessed Archibald and Marmaduke and Ferdinand, but they were not right either. And oh, how he twirled his tail, and how horribly his eyes shone. Now there was only one day left, one chance for her to guess his name. When the little black thing had gone, very pleased with himself, the king came to see her. He was delighted with the 5 skeins. He ordered his servants to bring supper in, so that he and his wife could eat it together. "I don't think I shall ever have to chop your head off, my dear," he said, as the servants brought in the supper things and another store. While the king was eating, he suddenly stopped and burst out laughing. "What's so funny?" said the girl, who felt more like crying than laughing. "I'm laughing at something I saw when I was out hunting. I was riding past a chalk pit when I heard a loud humming. So I got off my horse and looked down into the pit to see what it was. There, in the pit, was the strangest little black thing with a long tail. It was working away at a little spinning wheel and twirling its tail all the time. As the wheel spun round, it sang, 'Nimmy, nimmy, not, my name's Tom Tit Tot.'" When the girl heard this, her heart jumped for joy, but she said nothing. Now she knew that she would never have to go away and live with the little black thing. The next day was the last of the month. In the morning, the little black thing came for the flax, and in the evening knocked on the window and brought back 5 skeins. He was very pleased with himself, and his eyes shone like red-hot coals when he looked at her. "What's my name?" he said, as he gave her the skeins. "Is it Robin?" "No, it isn't." "Is it Bruce?" "No, it isn't." And he held out his little black hands and twirled his tail faster than ever. "Nimmy, nimmy, not, your name's Tom Tit Tot." When he heard this, he gave a dreadful cry and flew away out of the window, and no one ever saw him again. The questions. Number 1. What made the mother sing her first song? Number 2. What made the mother change the words of the song? Number 3. What kind of wife did the king want for himself? Number 4. Did the girl know how to spin? Number 5. What did the king promise to do if his wife failed to spin 5 skeins by the time night came? Number 6. What did the little black thing look like? Number 7. Where did the little black thing live? Number 8. Was the little black thing good at spinning? Number 9. Were the skeins spun by the little black thing beautiful? Number 10. How did the girl learn the name of the little black thing?
Molly Whoopie. Once upon a time, a man and his wife had too many children. They could not feed them all, so they took the 3 youngest and gave each of them a piece of bread and left them in the forest. The 3 girls ate their bread, and then they walked and walked till they were completely lost. Soon it became dark, and they were hungry too. At last the girls saw a light between the trees. It came from the window of a house. They went up to the house and knocked on the door. A woman came and said, "What do you want?" "Please let us in and give us something to eat. We are so tired and hungry." The woman answered, "I can't do that. My husband is a giant. He'll kill you when he comes home." "Let us stop for a little while," they begged. "We shall go away before he comes." The girls begged so hard that she let them in. She sat them down before the fire and gave them bread and milk. While they were eating, a great knock came at the door, and a dreadful voice said, "Fee-fi-fo-fum, I smell the blood of some earthly one. Who is there, wife?" "It's 3 poor little girls, cold and hungry," said his wife. "They'll go away. Don't touch them. I've got a good supper ready for you." The giant said nothing. He ate up a big supper and told the girls they could stay all night. He had 3 daughters of his own, and his wife put them and the 3 strangers to sleep in the same bed. The youngest of the 3 strangers was called Molly Whoopie, and she was very clever. Before the 6 girls went to bed, the giant put gold chains round his daughters' necks and put straw ropes round Molly's neck and her sisters' necks. Molly wondered why he did that, so she did not fall asleep, but waited till everyone was sleeping sound. Then she slipped out of bed. She took the straw ropes off her own and her sisters' necks and took the gold chains off the giant's daughters. Then she put the straw ropes on the giant's daughters and the gold ones on herself and her sisters, and lay down again. In the middle of the night, when it was quite dark, the giant crept into the room and felt round the necks of the 6 children. He took the 3 girls with the straw ropes, carried them downstairs and locked them in a cellar. Then he laid down again and fell asleep. Soon he was snoring again. Then Molly woke her sisters and told them to be very quiet. They slipped out of the house and they ran and ran till morning, when they saw a great beautiful house before them. It turned out to be a king's palace, so Molly went in and told her story to the king. The king said, "Molly Whuppie, you have done well, and you will do even better if you go back and bring me the giant's sword that hangs on the wall over his bed. Then I'll let my eldest son marry your eldest sister." Molly said she would try. So Molly went back. She slipped into the giant's house and hid under the giant's bed. The giant came home, ate up a great supper, and went to bed. Molly waited till he was asleep and snoring. Then she crept out and reached over the giant and got down the sword. But just as she got it over the bed, the sword gave a rattle. The giant jumped up and tried to catch Molly. Molly ran out of the door with the sword in her hands. She ran and he ran till they came to the bridge of one hair. Molly ran lightly over, but the giant was too heavy and he couldn't, and he shouted, "There will be trouble for you, Molly Whuppie, if you come back again." But Molly answered, "Twice again will I come to see you." So Molly took the sword to the king, and her eldest sister was married to his eldest son. Then the king said, "Molly Whuppie, you have done well, and you will do even better if you go back and bring me the giant's purse that lies under his pillow. Then I'll marry my second son with your second sister." And Molly said she would try. So Molly went back. She slipped into the giant's house and again hid under his bed. She waited till the giant had eaten a great supper and was sound asleep and snoring. She crept out then. She slipped her hand under the pillow and got the purse. But just as she was leaving, the giant woke and ran after her. She ran and he ran till they came to the bridge of one hair. She ran lightly over, but he couldn't, and he shouted, "There will be trouble for you, Molly Whuppie, if you come back again." But Molly answered, "Once again will I come back to see you." So Molly took the purse to the king, and her second sister was married to the king's second son. Then the king said, "Molly Whuppie, you have done well, and will do even better if you go back and bring me the giant's gold ring that he wears on his thumb. Then you'll marry my youngest son yourself." Molly said she would try. So back Molly went to the giant's house and hid under the bed. Soon the giant came home. After he had eaten a great supper, he went to his bed, and soon was sound asleep and snoring. Molly crept out and reached over the bed. She took hold of the giant's hand. She pulled and she pulled at the ring on his thumb, but just as it slipped off, the giant woke with a roar and caught her by the hand. "Now I've caught you, Molly Whuppie," he said. if I had done all the bad things to you that you have done to me, what would you do to me?" Molly answered quickly, "I'd put you into a sack, and I'd put the cat and the dog inside with you, and a needle and a thread and scissors. Then I'd hang the sack on the wall and go into the wood and choose a thick stick. Then I'd come home and take you down and beat you. That's what I'd do." "Well, Molly," said the giant, "I'll do just that to you." He got a sack and put Molly in it with the cat and the dog and a needle and thread and scissors. He hung the sack upon the wall. Then he went into the wood to choose a thick stick. "Oh," sang Molly from inside the sack, "oh, if you saw what I see!" "What do you see?" asked the giant's wife. But Molly only sang again and again, "Oh, if you saw what I see!" The giant's wife was not a clever woman, and she begged and begged Molly to let her up into the sack to see what Molly saw. So Molly took the scissors and cut a hole in the sack. She took the needle and thread out with her and jumped down. Then the giant's wife climbed in, and Molly sewed up the hole with a needle and thread. Of course, the giant's wife saw nothing and began to beg Molly to let her get down again out of the bag. Molly hid behind the door, and soon the giant came in with a thick stick in his hand. He took down the sack and began to hit it. "It's me, man! Stop hitting me!" his wife cried out. But the dog barked so and the cat mewed so that the giant did not hear his wife's voice. Then Molly came out from behind the door. The giant saw her and ran after her. She ran and he ran till they came to the bridge of one hair. She ran lightly over, but he couldn't, and he shouted, "There will be trouble for you, Molly Whuppie, if you come back again." But Molly answered, "Never more will I come to see you." So Molly ran off to the king with the gold ring. She was married to his youngest son, and she never saw the giant again. Answer the questions. 1. Were the sisters scared in the forest? 2. Did the woman in the house want to let the girls in? 3. Did the giant put gold chains on all the girls? 4. What made the giant pleased with himself? 5. How did the 3 sisters manage to run away from the giant's house? 6. Who did Molly tell her story to? 7. What things did the king ask Molly to bring from the giant's house? 8. Where were those things? 9. Was it difficult for Molly to get all the things the king asked for? 10. How did Molly outwit the giant? 11. What happened to Molly's sisters? 12. What happened to Molly in the end? Was she happy?
Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a poor widow who had an only son named Jack. and a cow named Milky White, and all they had to live on was the milk the cow gave every morning. They carried the milk to the market and sold. But one morning, Milky White gave no milk, and they didn't know what to do. "What shall we do? What shall we do?" cried the widow. "Cheer up, mother. I'll go and get some work somewhere," said Jack. "We tried that before, and nobody wanted a boy like you," said his mother. "We must sell Milky White, and with the money start a shop or something." "All right, mother," said Jack. "It's market day today. I'll soon sell Milky White, and then we'll see what we can do." So he drove the cow to the market. He hadn't gone far when he met a funny-looking old man who said to him, "Good morning, Jack." "Good morning to you," said Jack, and wondered how the man knew his name. "Well, Jack, and where are you going?" asked the man. "I'm going to the market to sell our cow." When he heard where Jack was going, the old man offered him some strange-looking coloured beans in exchange for the cow. "Take them," he said, "and you'll never be sorry about it. They are not ordinary beans. They are magic beans. If you plant them in the evening, by morning they will grow right up to the sky." "Really?" said Jack. "You don't say so." "Yes, that is so. And if that doesn't happen, you can have your cow back." So Jack agreed, put the strange-looking coloured beans in his pocket, and started back for home. It was dark when he reached home. "Back already, Jack?" asked his mother. "I see you haven't got Milky White, so you've sold her. How much did you get for her?" "You'll never guess, mother," said Jack. "How much? £5, 10, 15? No, it couldn't be 20. I told you you couldn't guess. What do you say about these beans? They're magic. Plant them in the evening and—" "What?" cried Jack's mother. "Have you been such a fool as to give away my Milky White for a few beans? Take that, take that, take that. And as for your magic beans, here they go out of the window." The mother was so angry that she threw the beans out of the window. Then she said, "And now go to bed, without supper." So Jack went upstairs to his little room. When he woke up next morning, the room looked so funny. The sun was shining into part of it, and yet all the rest was quite dark. So Jack jumped up and dressed himself and went to the window. And what do you think he saw? The beans his mother had thrown out the window into the garden had grown up into a great beanstalk, which went up and up and up till it reached the sky. So the man had spoken the truth after all. The beanstalk grew quite close by Jack's window, so all he had to do was to open it and put his feet onto the beanstalk, for it went up and up, just like a big ladder. So Jack climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, till at last he reached the sky. And when he got there, he found a long, wide, straight road. So he walked along, and he walked along, and he walked along the road till he came to a great big tall house, and on the doorstep there was a great big tall woman. "Good morning," said Jack. "Would you be so kind as to give me some breakfast?" For he hadn't had anything to eat the night before. You know, he was as hungry as a hunter. It's breakfast you want, isn't it? Asked the great, big, tall woman. It's breakfast you'll be if you don't move off from here. My man is an ogre. He kills and eats people, and there's nothing he likes better than broiled boys. You'd better go away, for he'll soon be back home. Oh, please, give me something to eat. I've had nothing to eat since yesterday morning. Really, said Jack. I may as well be broiled as die of hunger. Well, the ogre's wife was not such a bad woman. She took Jack into the kitchen and gave him a piece of bread and cheese and a jug of milk. But Jack hadn't finished eating when the whole house began to shake with great thuds. Somebody was coming to the house. It's my old man, said the ogre's wife. What shall I do? Come along quick and jump in here. And she quickly hid Jack in the oven, just as the ogre came in. He was a terribly big one. 3 calves hung by the heels to his belt. He threw them down on a table and said, Here, wife, broil me 2 of these calves for breakfast. Ah, what's this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. You are wrong, dear, said his wife. There is no one here. Perhaps you can smell the scraps of that little boy you liked so much for yesterday's dinner. Here, you go and have a wash and change your clothes, and by the time you come back, your breakfast will be ready for you. So the ogre went off, and Jack was just going to jump out of the oven and run away when the woman told him not to. Wait till he's asleep, said she. He always sleeps for a while after breakfast. Well, the ogre had his breakfast, and after that he went to a big chest and took out of it 2 bags of gold. He sat down, put the bags on the table, and began to count the money. Soon his head began to nod, and he began to snore, and the whole house shook again. Now, Jack crept out on tiptoe from the oven, and as he was passing the ogre, he took one of the bags of gold, put it under his arm, and ran off along the road till he came to the beanstalk. Then he threw down the bag of gold, which, of course, fell into his mother's garden, and then he climbed down and climbed down till at last he got home. Jack told his mother all that had happened to him and showed her the gold. Well, mother, he said, wasn't I right about the beans? They are really magic, you see. Jack and his mother lived on the gold for some time, but at last it was all spent, and Jack made up his mind to try his luck once more at the top of the beanstalk. So one fine morning he got up early and got onto the beanstalk. He climbed and he climbed, and he climbed and he climbed, and he climbed and he climbed, till at last he came out onto the long, wide, straight road again. He walked along it till he came to the great, big, tall house he had been to before. And there was the great, big, tall woman standing on the doorstep. "Good morning," said Jack. "Would you be so good as to give me something to eat?" "Go away, my boy," said the big, tall woman, "or else my man will eat you up for breakfast." "But aren't you the boy who came here once before? Do you know, that very day my man missed one of his bags of gold." "That's strange," said Jack. "I could tell you something about that, but I'm so hungry I can't talk till I've had something to eat." Well, the big tall woman was so curious that she took him in and gave him something to eat. But he had scarcely begun to eat when they heard the great thuds of the ogre's feet, and his wife quickly hid Jack away in the oven. All happened as it did before. The ogre came in as he did before, said, "Fee, fi, fo, fum," and had his breakfast of 3 broiled oxen. Then he said, "Wife, bring me the hen that lays the golden eggs." So she brought it, and the ogre ordered the hen, "Lay," and it laid an egg, all of gold. And then the ogre began to nod his head and to snore till the house shook. Then Jack crept out of the oven on tiptoe, seized the hen that laid the golden eggs, and rushed off. But the hen gave a loud cackle, and the ogre woke up. And just as Jack got out of the house, he heard the ogre's voice. "Wife, wife, what have you done with my golden hen?" And the wife said, "Nothing, my dear, I didn't touch it." But that was all Jack heard, for he rushed off down the road to the beanstalk and climbed down safely. And when he got home, he showed his mother the wonderful hen and said, "Lay," to it, and the hen laid a golden egg every time he said "lay." It wasn't very long before Jack wanted to try his luck again at the top of the beanstalk. So one fine morning he got up early and got onto the beanstalk. He climbed and he climbed, and he climbed and he climbed, till he got to the top. But this time, when he got near the ogre's house, he waited behind a bush till the ogre's wife came out with a pail to get some water. Then he slipped into the house and hid in the copper. He hadn't been there long before he heard the great thuds of the ogre's feet, and the ogre and his wife came in. The ogre cried out, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. If you can smell that bad little boy who stole your money and your magic hen, he is hiding in the oven," said the ogre's wife. And they both looked in the oven. But Jack wasn't there. He was in the copper. So the ogre sat down and ate a very large breakfast. When breakfast was over, he called out, "Wife, wife, bring me my golden harp." So she brought his harp and put it on the table. "Play," ordered the ogre, and the harp started to play most beautifully, all by itself. And it played on till the ogre fell asleep and began to snore like thunder. Then Jack crept out of the copper and seized the harp. But the harp cried out, "Master, master!" The ogre woke up with a roar, saw Jack with the harp, and rushed along the road after him. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the ogre ran after him. When Jack got to the beanstalk, the ogre was not more than 20 yards away. Jack began to climb down, but the ogre was heavy, and he was afraid of such a ladder. So he stood and waited. But just then the harp cried out, "Master, master!" And the ogre began to climb down the beanstalk, which shook with his weight. Jack climbed down, and the ogre climbed after him. By this time, Jack had climbed down and climbed down and climbed down till he was very near the ground. So he called out, "Mother, Mother, bring me an axe! Bring me an axe!" And his mother rushed out of the house with the axe in her hand. When she came to the beanstalk, she stood still with fright, for there she saw the ogre's legs just through the clouds. But Jack jumped down, took the axe, and gave a chop at the beanstalk. The ogre felt the beanstalk shook, so he stopped to see what the matter was. Jack gave another chop with the axe, and the beanstalk was cut in two. Then the ogre fell down and broke his head, and the beanstalk came down after him. After that, Jack showed his mother the golden harp. Then Jack and his mother began to show people the golden harp, and they became rich. Later, Jack married a beautiful princess, and they lived happily ever afterwards. Answer the questions. Number 1. Who did Jack live with? Number 2. What did Jack and his mother make their living by? Number 3. What was the cow's name? Number 4. Did Jack and his mother often go to the market? Number 5. Did Jack try to get some job? Number 6. What happened to the cow? Number 7. Whose idea was it to sell the cow? Number 8. Did Jack sell the cow at the market? Number 9. How much did Jack get for the cow? Number 10. Was the mother happy to see the magic beans? Number 11. What did the mother do with the beans? Number 12. Did Jack have his supper on the market day? Number 13. What did Jack see in the morning in their garden? Number 14. Did Jack use a ladder to climb up the beanstalk? Number 15. How did Jack get to the ogre's house? Number 16. What did Ogre bring home for his breakfast? Number 17. What things did Jack get from the ogre? Were all of them magic? Number 18. What did Jack do with the things he got from the ogre? Number 19. How did Jack's mother help Jack? Number 20. How did Jack and his mother become rich?
Catskin. There was once a princess whose mother died when she was born. She grew up very beautiful, with lovely golden hair. Her father wanted her to marry against her will, so she thought of a plan to put off the wedding. She asked to make her 3 new dresses. One was to be golden like the sun. The second was to be silver like the moon, and the third must sparkle like the stars. She also asked for a fur cloak with a hood made of 1,000 different skins from 1,000 different animals. The The princess said to her, "It will be very difficult to make these clothes, and the wedding will be put off for a long time." But her father set all his best workmen to make the 3 dresses, and his hunters took a tiny piece from the fur of 1,000 different animals, and a cloak with a hood was made. So the dresses and the cloak were soon ready, and the wedding could not be put off much longer. At night, the princess got up secretly and took from her jewel box a gold ring, a gold necklace, and a gold brooch. Then she took the golden dress like the sun, the silver dress like the moon, and the dress that sparkled like the stars, and folded them. They were so light and so magic that she could pack all 3 into a nutshell. She put on her fur cloak and pulled the hood over her golden hair, and rubbed soot on her face and hands so that no one would know who she was. Then she left her father's palace. She walked till she was tired, and when she came to a hollow tree she crept inside and fell asleep. Next day the king of that country was out hunting, and his hunters found the girl in her fur cloak, asleep in the tree. When the dogs barked, she woke up and was very frightened. She said, "I am a poor girl, and I have no parents. Please take me with you." "Yes, Miss Catskin," said the hunters, "we shall take you with us, and you can work in the kitchen." And they took her to the palace and showed her a little dark room under the stairs, and said, "You can sleep there, Catskin." They thought it was quite a good room for a girl who had sooty hands and a sooty face. She had to work very hard in the kitchen. She fetched water and wood, looked after the fires, and raked out the ashes. At night she often cried in her little dark room. One day there was a feast in the king's palace, and she asked the cook, "May I go and watch the fine ladies and gentlemen?" "You can go for just half an hour," said the cook, "and you must come back and rake out the ashes." So Catskin washed the soot off her face and hands, and went into her little room. She opened the nutshell, shook out her golden dress, and put it on. She went to the party, and no one knew who she was. The king thought she was very beautiful, and danced with her himself. When the dance was over, she slipped away to her tiny bedroom, took off her golden dress, put on her fur cloak, and blackened her hands and face with soot. She began to rake out the ashes, but the cook, who wanted to have a look at the fine people herself, said, "He took the king's soup, and don't even let a hair fall into it, or you'll be in trouble." So Catskin heated up the king's soup, fetched her golden ring, and put it at the bottom of the bowl. When the king ate the soup, he liked it very much. Then he was surprised to find the gold ring lying at the bottom. He asked who made the soup. "I did," said the cook. "That's not true," said the king. "It tasted better than the soup you make." Then the cook said it was Catskin who had made the soup. So the king sent for Catskin and asked her who she was. Catskin only answered that she was a poor girl without parents, and was good for nothing but to do dirty jobs in the kitchen. He asked her if she knew how the gold ring got into the soup, but she shook her head. Later on, there was another feast at the palace, and again Catskin asked the cook, "May I go and watch?" "Yes," said the cook, "but be back in half an hour to make the king's soup, because he likes the way you make it." So Catskin ran into her little room and washed herself carefully. Then she opened the nutshell, shook out the silver dress, and put it on. The king was very glad to see her again, and they danced together. When the dance was over, she slipped away and dressed herself as Catskin again. Then she cooked the king's soup and put her gold necklace at the bottom of the bowl. Once again, the king sent for her and asked her if she knew anything about the gold necklace. She answered, as before, that she was a poor girl who could only do dirty jobs in the kitchen and knew nothing about the necklace. Some time later, the king ordered a third feast to be held. Catskin washed herself again, opened the nutshell, and shook out the dress that sparkled like the stars, and put it on. The king was so very glad to see her again that he held her hand very tightly as they danced, and when she was not looking, he slipped a gold ring on her finger. This time she was late in leaving the party, and she had to throw her fur cloak over her fine dress, and she did not rub the soot properly on her face and hands. One finger was left white. She cooked the king's soup and put her gold brooch at the bottom of the bowl. When the king had finished eating his soup and found the gold brooch at the bottom, he sent for Catskin. He soon noticed the one white finger with the ring he had put on it. He took her sooty hand in his, and when she tried to pull it away, the fur cloak slipped a little, and her dress sparkled like the stars. The king took off her fur cloak and saw how beautiful she was, with her golden hair and her shining dress. He fell in love with her at once. Then she washed the soot off herself so that she looked even more beautiful than before. Everyone saw that she was a real princess. So Catskin told her story to the king. In a few days they were married and lived happily ever afterwards. Answer the questions. 1. Where did the princess live? 2. Who else lived in the palace with her? 3. Did the princess want to marry the man her father had chosen? 4. What clothes did the princess order for herself? 5. Was it easy to make the dresses the princess wanted? 6. How did the princess's father manage to fulfill the order? 7. Did the princess stay for the wedding, or did she run away? 8. What did the princess take with her from the palace? 9. Did the princess know where to go? 10. Where did the princess hide for the night? 11. What made her wake up in the morning? 12. Did the princess tell the hunters who she really was? 13. What jobs did the princess do in the king's palace? 14. How many times did the princess go to a feast? 15. What did the princess put on to pass herself as a poor girl?
Cap of Rushes. Once there was a very rich gentleman, and he had 3 daughters. One day he wanted to see how fond they were of him. So he said to the first daughter, "How much do you love me, my dear?" "Oh," said she, "I love you as I love my life." "That's good," said he. So he said to the second daughter, "How much do you love me, my dear?" "Oh," said she, "I love you better than anyone else in the world." "That's good," said he. So he said to the third daughter, "How much do you love me, my dear?" "Oh, I love you as fresh meat loves salt," said she. The father got very angry. "You don't love me at all," said he, "and you will not stay any more in my house." So he turned her out of the house and shut the door. She went away and walked on, till she came to a river. There she gathered a lot of rushes, and out of them made a cloak with a hood, to cover her from head to foot, and to hide her fine clothes. Then she went on, till she came to a great house. "Do you need a servant?" she asked. "No, we don't," said they. "I haven't got any place to go," said she, "and I can do any kind of work. I want no money for the work I do." "Well, if you like to wash the pots and scrape the saucepans, you may stay here," said they. So she stayed there, and washed the pots and scraped the saucepans, and did all the dirty work, and because she did not tell them her name, they called her Cap of Rushes. One day there was to be a great dance at a big house a little way off, and the servants were allowed to go and look at the ladies and gentlemen. Cap of Rushes said she was too tired to go, so she stayed at home. But when they had gone, she took off her cap of rushes and cleaned herself and went to the dance. And no one there was so finely dressed as she. Her master's son was there, and he fell in love with her the minute he saw her. He danced with no one but her. Before the dance was over, Cap of Rushes slipped out of the house and went home. When the other servants came back, she was pretending to be asleep, with her cap of rushes on. Next morning they said to her, "You should have gone to the dance, Cap of Rushes." "Why should I have gone?" she asked. "Why? The most beautiful lady was there, and the young master never took his eyes off her." "I should like to see her one day," said Cap of Rushes. "Well, there's to be another dance this evening. Perhaps she'll be there." But when the evening came, Cap of Rushes said she was too tired to go with the other servants. However, when they had gone, she took off her cap of rushes, cleaned herself, and she went off to the dance in her lovely dress. Again, the master's son danced only with her, and he never took his eyes off her. But before the dance was over, she slipped out of the house and went home. When the servants came back, she pretended to be asleep with her cap of rushes on. Next day, they said to her again, "Well, Cap of Rushes, you should have been there to see the lady. She was there again, very beautiful, and the young master never took his eyes off her." "I should like to see her," said she. "Well," said they, "there's a dance again this evening. You must go with us. She'll be there, perhaps." But when the evening came, Cap of Rushes said she was too tired to go, and she stayed at home. However, when they had gone, she took off her cap of rushes and cleaned herself, and she went off to the dance. The master's son was very glad to see her. He danced with nobody but her, and never took his eyes off her. He asked her to tell him her name and where she came from, but she said nothing. Then he gave her a ring and said, "If I don't see you again, I'll die." Well, before the dance was over, she again slipped out and went home. When the servants came home, she was pretending to be asleep with her cap of rushes on. Next day, they said to her, "Cap of Rushes, you didn't come last night, and now you won't see the lady, for there won't be any more dances." "Well, I should really like to have seen her," said she. The master's son tried every way to find out where the lady had gone. He went everywhere and asked everyone he met, but nobody heard anything about her, and he got worse and worse for love of her, till he had to keep his bed. "Make some porridge for the young master," they said to the cook. "He's dying of love for the lady." The cook was going to make the porridge when Cap of Rushes came in. "What are you going to do?" asked Cap of Rushes. "I'm going to make some porridge for the young master," said the cook. "He's dying of love for the lady." "Let me make it," said Cap of Rushes. The cook said yes, and Cap of Rushes made the porridge. When she had made it, she slipped the ring the master's son had given her into the bowl secretly, and the cook took the bowl upstairs. The young man ate the porridge, and then he saw the ring at the bottom of the bowl. "Send for the cook," said he. So she came. "Who made this porridge?" asked he. "I did," said the cook, for she was very frightened. And he looked at her. "No, you didn't," said he. "Say who did it, and I'll not do you any harm." "Well, it was Cap of Rushes," said she. "Send Cap of Rushes here," said he. So Cap of Rushes came. "Did you make my porridge?" asked he. "Yes, I did," said she. "Where did you get this ring?" asked he. "From the man who gave it to me," said she. "Who are you, then?" said the young man. "I'll show you," said she, and she took off her cap of rushes, and there she was in her beautiful clothes. Well, the master's son soon got better, and there was to be a great wedding in a short time. A lot of people were asked from far and near to be present at the wedding, and Cap of Rushes' father was asked too. But she never told anybody who she was. Before the wedding, Cap of Rushes went to the cook and said to her, "Please cook every dish for the wedding feast without salt." "But the food will all be tasteless," said the cook. "It doesn't matter," said she. "Very well, then," said the cook. The wedding day came. and the two young people were married. After they were married, all the guests sat down to the wedding feast. When they began to eat the meat, they found that it was so tasteless that they couldn't eat it. Cap of Rush's father tried first one dish and then another, and then he burst into tears. "What is the matter?" said the master's son to him. "Oh," said he, "I had a daughter, and I asked her how much she loved me. And she said, 'I love you as fresh meat loves salt.' And I turned her out of the house, for I thought she didn't love me at all. And now I see she loved me best of all my daughters, and so she may be dead now." "No, father, here she is," said Cap of Rushes, and she went up to him and put her arms around him, and so they were all happy ever afterwards. Answer the questions. Number 1. How many daughters did the rich gentleman have? Number 2. What question did he ask his daughters? Number 3. Did he like all the answers? Number 4. Where did the third daughter go after her father had turned her out of the house? Number 5. What did the young girl make herself a dress with? Number 6. What did the new dress look like? Number 7. Could people see the girl's face well? Number 8. Who named the girl Cap of Rushes? Number 9. What jobs did Cap of Rushes do in the great house? Number 10. Did Cap of Rushes stay in a room when all the servants went to a dance? Number 11. Who did Cap of Rushes dance at the ball with? Number 12. What time did Cap of Rushes get back to her room? Number 13. How many times was the great dance held? Number 14. What did the young master give to the beautiful lady? Number 15. Where did Cap of Rushes see her father again?
The Fish and the Ring. Once upon a time there was a rich baron in the north of England. He was a great magician and knew everything that was going to happen in the future. So, one day, when his little son was 4 years old, he looked into his magic books to see the future of his son. And he found out that his son would be married to a poor girl who had just been born in the city of York. The baron knew that the father of the little girl was very, very poor, and he had already 5 children. So the baron got onto his horse and rode to York. He saw the man as he passed by his house. The poor father was sitting by the door, sad and unhappy. So the baron got down off his horse, went up to the house and said, "What is the matter, my good man?" And the man said, "I have already 5 children, and now the 6th has just been born. Where can I get the bread to fill all their mouths?" "If that is your trouble, I can help you," said the Baron. "I'll take away the last little baby, and you won't have to think about it." "Thank you very much, sir," said the man, and he went in, brought out a baby girl, and gave her to the Baron. And the Baron got onto his horse and rode away with the baby. Then, as he rode by the bank of the River Ouse, he threw the child into the river and rode off to his castle. But the baby girl did not sink. Her clothes kept her up for some time, and she floated till she was carried to the bank just in front of a fisherman's little house. The fisherman found her, and he felt pity for the child. He took it into the house and gave it to his wife. So the little girl lived with the fisherman and his wife till she was 15 years old. She was now a beautiful young girl. One day it happened that the Baron and some of his men were hunting along the banks of the River Ouse. It was a hot day, and they wanted to drink, so they stopped at the fisherman's house and asked for some water. The girl came out to give them water. They all noticed her beauty, and one of them said to the Baron, "You can read fates, Baron. Who will she marry? What do you think?" "Oh, that's easy to guess," said the Baron. "Some villager. Come here, girl, and tell on what day were you born?" "I don't know, sir. I was picked up just here by the river about 15 years ago," said the girl. Then the Baron knew who she was, and when they went away he rode back and said to the girl, "I'll make your fortune, girl. Take this letter to my brother in Scarborough, and he will take care of you for all of your life." The girl took the letter and said, "Thank you very much. I shall go to your brother." Now, this is what he had written in the letter. "Dear brother, take this girl and put her to death at once. Your brother, Humphrey." So, soon the girl set out for Scarborough. She slept the first night at a little inn, and that very night a band of robbers broke into the inn. They searched the girl, who had no money, but they found the letter. They opened it and read it, and thought it was a shame to kill the poor girl. The leader of the robbers took a pen and paper and wrote this letter: "Dear brother, take this girl and marry her to my son at once. Your brother, Humphrey." He gave the letter to the girl and told her to go to Scarborough. So she went to the Baron's brother. This brother was a noble knight, and the Baron's son was living in his house at the time. When she gave the letter to the Baron's brother, he ordered his servants to prepare everything for the wedding at once, and the two young people got married that very day. Soon the Baron himself came to see his brother's castle, and what his surprise was when he saw his son was married to the poor man's daughter. The Baron took the girl out for a walk towards the mountains by the sea, and when they were alone, he took her by the arms and was going to throw her into the sea, but she begged hard for her life. "I have not done anything," she said. "If you spare my life, I'll do all you wish. I'll never see you or your son again till you wish it." Then the Baron took off his gold ring and threw it into the sea. "Never let me see your face till you can show me the ring," he said, and let her go. The poor girl walked on, till at last she came to a castle. She asked for work there, and was given work in the kitchen. One day the Baron, his son, and his brother came to the castle. They were invited to the dinner. The poor girl saw them through the window. She did not know what to do, but she thought, "They will not see me here in the kitchen." So she went back to her work and began to clean a great fish which she had to cook for the master's dinner. And as she was cleaning it, she saw something inside it that shone like gold. And what do you think she found? The Baron's ring. The ring he had thrown into the sea. She was very glad. Then she cooked the fish as nicely as she could, and the servant took it into the hall. Well, when the fish came on the table, the guests liked it so much that they asked the master of the castle who had cooked it. He said he didn't know, but called to his servants, "Send in the cook who cooked that fine fish." So they went down to the kitchen and told the girl who was wanted in the hall. She put the Baron's gold ring on her thumb and went into the hall. When the guests saw such a young, beautiful cook, they were surprised. Only the Baron was very angry and wanted to hit her. But the girl went up to him and showed him the hand with the ring on it. After that, she took off the ring and put it down before him on the table. Then the Baron said, "What will be, will be." And he told her to sit down and told the people that this was his son's true wife. And he took her and his son home to his castle, and they lived as happily as could be ever afterwards. Answer the questions. 1. What magic things could the Baron do? 2. What made the Baron feel unhappy? 3. Did he find the girl his son would be married to? 4. Did he take the girl away from her family? 5. Did the girl die? 6. Where did the Baron meet the girl for the second time? 7. Did the Baron promise the girl to make her fortune? 8. Who did the Baron write the letter to? 9. Did the Baron's brother kill the girl? 10. Who was the girl married to? 11. Was the Baron present at their wedding? 12. Was the Baron happy to see his son married? 13. What stopped the Baron from hitting the girl?
The Red Ettin. There was once a poor widow, and she had 2 sons. The sons grew up, and it was time for the woman to send them away to seek their fortune. So one day she said to her eldest son, "Take a jar and bring me some water from the well. I'll bake a cake for you. If you bring a lot of water, your cake will be large. If you bring only a little, it will be small. I can give you only 1 cake and nothing else. You must understand." The young man went off with the jar to the well, and filled it with water. But there were cracks in the jar, and most of the water had run out before he got back home. So his cake was very small. Then the mother said to her eldest son, "You may take the half of the cake with my blessing, or the whole cake without my blessing. Which would you like?" The young man thought, "I shall have to travel far, and I do not know when or how I shall get out of the food." So he said, "I'd like to have the whole cake." And she gave him the whole cake without her blessing. Then he took his brother aside, gave him a knife, and said, "Keep my knife till I come back. Look at it every morning, and as long as it shines, I am well. But if it grows rusty, then know that I'm in trouble and want your help." So the young man went to seek his fortune. He walked all that day and all the next day, and on the third day, in the afternoon, he saw a man in a field who was looking after a lot of sheep. He went up to the man and asked him who the sheep belonged to. The man said, "They belong to the Red Ettin. He is a terrible, cruel giant, a magician with 3 heads. He stole King Malcolm's daughter, and he beats her every day. The Red Ettin's castle is not far away. If you want to go farther, be careful. You may meet some strange-looking beasts. You have never seen beasts like them. I know very well that they are very dangerous." So the young man went on, and soon he saw a lot of very dreadful beasts with 2 heads, and on each head there were 4 horns. He was so frightened that he ran away from them as fast as he could. He was glad when he came to a castle. It stood on a hill, and its door was wide open. So the young man went into the castle to hide from those dreadful beasts. And there he saw an old woman. She was sitting beside the kitchen fire. "May I stay here for the night?" he asked her. "I am very tired after a long journey." And the woman said, "Yes, you may. But this is not a good place to be in. It belongs to the Red Ettin, and he kills everyone he finds." The young man wanted to go away, but he was afraid of the beasts outside of the castle. So he begged the old woman to hide him and not tell the Red Ettin he was there, and he promised to go away in the morning. But he had not been long in his hiding place before the terrible Ettin came and cried, "I smell a man. Living or dead, I'll eat him." The giant soon found the poor young man and pulled him out of his hiding place. Then he told him, "If you can answer my 3 questions, I'll spare your life." So the first head asked, "A thing without an end? What's that?" But the young man did not know. Then the second head said, "The smaller, the more dangerous. What's that?" But the young man did not know. And then the third head asked, "The dead carries the living. Can you guess that?" But the young man could not guess. He could not answer the 3 questions, and the Red Ettin took a magic wand, knocked him on the head, and turned him into a large piece of stone. On the morning after this happened, the younger brother took out his brother's knife to look at it, and he was very sorry to find that it was rusty. He told his mother that he must go away also to seek his fortune. So she said that she was going to make a cake for him, and asked him to take the jar and go to the well for water. And he went, and as he was bringing home the water, a bird over his head cried out to him, "Look, the water is running out." And he saw that the water was running out of the jar because there were cracks in it. But he was a clever young man. He took some clay and patched up the cracks, so that he brought home enough water to bake a large cake. When his mother had made the cake, she said, "You may take half the cake with my blessing, or the whole cake without my blessing. Which would you like?" The younger brother chose the half of the cake, but it was bigger than the whole cake of his brother. So he went off on his journey. After he had travelled a long way, he met an old woman who asked him to give her a piece of his cake. "I'll be glad to do that," he said, and gave her a piece of the cake. And for that she gave him a magic wand. She said, "This wand may be useful to you, if you take care to use it rightly." And the old woman, who was a fairy, told him what would happen to him and what he had to do in future. Then she disappeared. He went on his way farther, and then he came up to the old man with the sheep. When he asked whose sheep they were, the answer was, "They are the Red Ettin's sheep." Then the old man told him everything about the Red Ettin. When he came to the place where the terrible beasts were standing, he did not stop nor run away, but went bravely past them. When one came up roaring with open mouth, ready to kill him, the young man hit it with the wand, and the beast fell down dead at his feet. He soon reached the Ettin's castle. He knocked at the door and entered. The old woman, who sat by the fire, told him about the terrible Ettin and about the fate of his brother. But the young man was not afraid. The Red Ettin soon came in and shouted, "I smell a man, living or dead, I'll eat him." He saw the young man and told him to come nearer. And then he put the 3 questions to him. But the young man could answer all the questions. The good fairy had told him the answers. So when the first head asked, "What's the thing without an end?" he said, "A bowl." And when the second head asked, "The smaller, the more dangerous, what's that?" he said at once, "A bridge." And last, the third head said, "When does the dead carry the living? Can you guess that?" The young man answered at once, "When a ship sails on the sea with men on board." When the Ettin heard this, he knew that his power was gone. The young man took up an axe and cut off the giant's 3 heads. Then he asked the old woman to show him where King Malcolm's daughter was. And the old woman took him upstairs and opened a lot of doors, and out of every door came a beautiful lady. And one of the ladies was the king's daughter. Then the old woman also took him down into a low room, and there lay a large piece of stone. He touched it with his hand, and his brother came to life again. The captives were happy to be free again, and they all thanked the young man. Next day, they all set out for King Malcolm's court, and the king married his daughter to the young man who had saved her, and gave a rich gentleman's daughter to his elder brother. And so they all lived happily all their days. Answer the questions. Number 1. How many sons did the woman have? Number 2. Did she have a husband? Number 3. Did the mother give the cake to the first son with her blessing? Number 4. Did the eldest son want his mother's blessing? Number 5. Did it take long for the eldest son to get to the giant's castle? Number 6. What animals did he meet on his way to the giant's castle? Number 7. Was there anybody in the castle? Number 8. Did the giant see the young man, or did he smell him first? Number 9. How many answers to the giant's riddles did the first young man give? Number 10. Were the giant's questions difficult? Number 11. What did the giant do with the eldest brother? Number 12. How much cake did the youngest brother take with him? Number 13. Who did he share the cake with? Number 14. What did the woman give the young man in return for the cake? Number 15. Was the youngest brother afraid of the terrible beasts? Number 16. Did the youngest brother hide from the giant? Number 17. Did he give the answers to all the giant's questions? Number 18. Who helped the youngest brother with the answers? Number 19. How did the young man find his elder brother? Number 20. Was King Malcolm grateful to the young man?
The History of Tom Thumb. In the days of great King Arthur, there lived a magician called Merlin. He was the most wonderful magician this world had ever seen. This famous magician, who could take any form he wanted, was once travelling about as a poor beggar. One day he got very tired and stopped to rest at the house of a farmer. He knocked at the door and begged for some food. The countryman invited him to come in, and his wife, who was a very kind woman, soon brought him some milk in a wooden bowl and some brown bread on a plate. Merlin was much pleased with the kindness of the farmer and his wife, but he noticed that though everything was tidy and comfortable in the house, they both looked unhappy. He asked them why they were so sad, and learned that they were unhappy because they had no children. The poor woman said, with tears in her eyes, "I should be the happiest woman in the world if I had a son. Even if he was not bigger than my husband's thumb, I would be pleased." Merlin was so much amused with the idea of a boy no bigger than a man's thumb that he decided to carry out the poor woman's wish. Some time after, the farmer's wife had a son who, wonderful to tell, was not bigger than his father's thumb. The Queen of the Fairies wished to see the little boy. She came in through the window while the happy mother was sitting up in bed and looking at the boy. The Queen kissed the child, gave it the name of Tom Thumb, and sent for some of the fairies. She gave orders to the fairies to dress the little boy, and the fairies dressed the little boy in this way. An oak leaf hat he had for his crown, his shirt of web by spiders spun, his jacket wove of thistles down, his trousers were of feathers done, his stockings of apple rind they tie with eyelash from his mother's eye, his shoes were made of mouse-skin, tanned with the downy hair within. Tom never grew any bigger than his father's thumb, which was an ordinary finger, but as he got older, he became very cunning and full of tricks. When he was old enough to play with other boys, he had lost all his own cherry stones. He usually crept into the bags of his friends and filled his pockets. No one noticed him as he got out. Then he joined in the game again. One day, as he was getting out of a bag of cherry stones, the boy to whom it belonged saw him. "Aha, my little Tommy," said the boy, "so you've stolen my cherry stones again. I've caught you at last." And the boy gave the bag such a shake that poor little Tom's legs and body was badly hurt, and Tom screamed with pain and promised never to steal again. A short time afterwards, his mother was making a batter pudding. Tommy wanted to see how it was made and climbed up to the edge of the bowl, but his foot slipped and he fell into the batter. His mother didn't notice him and put the batter into the pudding bag. Then she put it in the pot to boil. The batter filled Tom's mouth and he could not cry. But when he felt the hot water, he began to struggle so much in the pot that his mother thought the pudding was magic. So she pulled it out of the pot and threw it outside the door. A poor workman who was passing by lifted up the pudding and walked off. As Tom had now cleared his mouth of the batter, he began to scream. The workman was so frightened that he threw down the pudding and ran away. The pudding was broken to pieces. Tom crept out with the batter all over him and walked home. His mother, who was very sorry to see her dear son in such a bad state, put him into a teacup and soon washed off the batter. After that, she kissed him and put him to bed. Soon after the adventure of the pudding, Tom's mother went to milk her cow in the meadow, and she took the boy along with her. As the wind was very strong, she tied him to a thistle with a piece of thread. The cow soon saw Tom's oak leaf hat, and at once poor Tom and the thistle were in her mouth. Tom was afraid of her great teeth, and he roared out as loud as he could, "Mother! Mother! Where are you, Tommy, my dear Tommy?" Tom's mother asked. "Here, mother," he answered, "in the red cow's mouth." His mother began to cry, but the cow, surprised at the strange noise in her mouth, opened it and dropped Tom. His mother caught him in her apron, and he was falling to the ground. Then she took Tom in her hand and ran home with him. Tom's father made him a whip of barley straw to drive the cattle with. One day Tom went into the fields, but his foot slipped and he fell down. A bird which was flying over the field picked him up and flew with him over the sea and then dropped him. A large fish swallowed Tom the moment he fell into the sea. The fish was soon caught and bought for the table of King Arthur. When the cook opened the fish to cook it, everybody in the kitchen was surprised to find a little boy inside the fish, and Tom was happy to be free again. They carried him to the king, who was delighted with him and let him live in the palace. And soon he became a great favourite at court for his tricks and jokes. He amused not only the king and queen, but also the knights of the Round Table. When the king rode out on horseback, he often took Tom along with him. If it rained, Tom usually crept into the king's pocket, where he slept till the rain was over. One day, King Arthur asked Tom about the parents. He wished to know if they were as small as Tom was, and if they were poor or rich. Tom told the king that his father and mother were as tall as anybody in the court, but they were not rich. When he heard this, the king carried Tom to the treasury, the place where he kept all his money, and told him to take as much money as he could carry home to his parents. The poor little boy was very happy at once, and he went to get a purse. He returned to the treasury with a purse which was made of a soap bubble. He received a silver 3-penny piece and put it into his purse. It was difficult for the little boy to lift the purse and put it upon his back, but at last he went on his journey. More than 100 times he rested on the way, and in 2 days and 2 nights he reached his father's house safely. Tom had travelled 48 hours with a great heavy silver piece on his back. He was almost tired to death when his mother ran out to meet him and carried him into the house. But Tom soon returned to the king's court. As Tom's clothes were spoilt after the batter pudding and the fish, the king ordered to make new clothes for Tom. He was also given a mouse to ride. He sat on it like a proud knight. Of butterflies' wings his shirt was made, his boots of chicken's hide, and by a nimble fairy blade, well learned in the tailoring trade. His clothing was supplied, a needle dangled by his side, a dapper mouse he used to ride. Thus strutted Tom in stately pride. So Tom, in his fine clothes, rode out on his mouse to hunt with the king and his knights. They all liked to look at Tom and laugh as he sat on his fine horse. The king loved Tom so much that he ordered his men to make a little chair for him, and now he sat on the king's table when he had his meals. Tom was also given a golden palace to live in, and a coach drawn by 6 small mice. So Tom lived happily at King Arthur's court until he died. Answer the questions. 1. Who gave Tom Thumb his name? 2. Who gave Tom Thumb his clothes? 3. What cunning tricks was Tom the master of? 4. Did the boys punish Tom? 5. What did Tom promise never to do again? 6. Did he keep his promise? 7. Was Tom a curious boy? 8. Was he punished for his curiosity? 9. How many times did Tom get into scaring adventures? 10. What did Tom do with the money he got from the treasury?
The Adventures of Jack, the Giant Killer. In the time of good King Arthur, there lived in Cornwall a farmer who had an only son named Jack. This young man was very strong, brave, and clever. In those days, a terrible giant named Cormoran lived in the mountains of Cornwall. He was very, very tall, strong, and cruel, and the people of neighbouring towns and villages were greatly afraid of him. He lived in a cave in the middle of a mountain. When he wanted food, he went out to get it. When the giant came to a town or a village, people ran away from their homes, and he seized their cattle. He could carry 6 oxen on his back at a time, and he tied the pigs and sheep to the belt round his waist. This went on for many years, and nobody could do anything because the giant was too strong. So all the people in Cornwall became poor and unhappy. One day, Jack was at the town hall where the magistrates were sitting and talking about the giant. "What will the man get who kills Cormoran?" asked Jack. "He will get the giant's treasure," they answered. "Then let me try," said Jack. So he got out a horn, a spade, and a pick, and went to the mountains where Cormoran lived. All evening and all night, while the giant was asleep, Jack dug a very, very deep and wide pit in front of the cave. Then he covered it over with long branches and straw, and put earth over it, so that it looked like ordinary ground. When all this was done, Jack sat down near the pit, away from the mouth of the cave, and waited. Early in the morning, he put his horn to his mouth and blew hard. The loud noise of the horn woke the giant. He rushed from his cave and shouted, "How dare you come here to disturb my rest? You will pay dearly for it. I shall kill you and broil you for my breakfast." But just as he shouted these words, he fell into the pit. He was very big and very heavy, and the mountain shook as he fell. "Oh, giant, where are you now? Do you still think you will broil me for your breakfast?" shouted Jack. He laughed at the giant for a while. Then he hit him hard on the head with the pick and killed him. So that was the end of the terrible giant Cormoran. Jack filled up the pit with earth and went into the giant's cave. There he found a lot of treasure. When the magistrates heard of Cormoran's death, they said, "From this day, everybody must call this young man Jack, the Giant Killer." And they gave him presents, a sword and a belt. On a belt, there were words in golden letters. "Here is the brave Cornish man who killed the giant Cormoran." The news of Jack's victory soon reached all the corners of the country. Another giant, whose name was Blunderbore, heard of it too, and decided to revenge himself on Jack. This giant lived in a large castle which stood in the middle of a dark wood. 4 months later, Jack was walking through this wood on his way from Cornwall to Wales. He was very tired, so he sat down beside a spring and fell fast asleep. While he was sleeping, the giant Blunderbore came to the spring for water and found him there. When the giant read the words on Jack's belt, he picked him up, threw him over his shoulders, and carried him to his castle. Now, as the giant was passing through the thick wood, Jack woke. He was very surprised and frightened to find himself on the shoulders of the giant. His fright became greater when the giant entered the castle, and Jack saw the place where human bones lay. And when the giant said, "And your bones, my fine man, will soon lie here too," the giant did not want to eat poor Jack alone, so he locked him in a great room and went to fetch another giant, his brother, who lived in the same wood. Jack looked carefully around the room. In a dark corner, he found some good, strong ropes. When he went to the window, he saw that the window was over the gate of the castle. Then, far away, he saw the two giants. They were coming to the castle. "Now," said Jack to himself, "I'll die, or I'll save myself." He took two of the ropes and made a strong loop at the end of each. He stood at the window and watched the giants. Then, just as they were opening the iron gate of the castle, he threw a loop over the head of each of them. Then he pulled with all his strength. He pulled and he pulled, and at last the giants fell to the ground. But they were still alive. So Jack climbed down the rope and killed them with his sword. After that, he took the giant's keys and opened all the rooms of the castle. In the rooms, he found 3 beautiful ladies who were almost starved to death. "Dear ladies," said Jack, "I have killed the cruel giant and his brother. You are free now. These are the keys of the castle." Then Jack left them and went on his way to Wales. But after a while, Jack lost his way. Night came on before he found a place to spend the night. At last, he saw a large house, so he went up to it and knocked at the gate. What was his surprise when a terrible great giant with 2 heads came out. Now this was a Welsh giant who was very cunning and liked to play cruel tricks on people. Jack explained to the giant that he had no place to sleep that night, and the giant invited him in and led him to a bedroom. Late in the night, Jack heard a voice in the next room. It was the giant's voice, and he was saying these words: "Though you lodge with me this night, you shall not see the morning light. My club shall dash your brains outright." "That's what you want to do," Jack said to himself. "If that is your trick, I can be more cunning than you. I can play a better trick than that." So Jack got up out of his bed, put a long, thick piece of wood in his place, and hid in a corner of the room. Soon the giant crept in with his club and hit the bed hard several times with it. He was sure that he had broken every bone in Jack's body. The next morning, Jack, laughing in his sleeve, thanked him for the night's rest. "How did you sleep?" asked the giant. "Did you not feel anything in the night?" "No," said Jack, "nothing but a rat, which gave me 2 or 3 slaps with her tail." The Welsh giant was greatly surprised, but he said nothing and led Jack to the breakfast table. He gave Jack a very, very big bowl full of porridge. Jack did not want to show the giant that it was too much for him, so he put a large leather bag under his loose coat in such a way that when he ate, he could put most of the porridge into the bag. The giant did not see what Jack was doing, because he was very hungry, and kept his eyes on his great bowl of porridge. Then Jack said to the giant, "Now, I'll show you a trick." And he took a knife, cut open the bag, and out came all the porridge. "Oh, I can do that trick myself," cried the giant. And he took a knife and cut open his own belly, and at once fell down dead. Some days after this, when Jack was on the road, he met a noble knight of King Arthur's court. The knight was on his way to save his lady from the enchantments of a wicked magician. Jack offered to go with him. Together they had a lot of adventures. One day, Jack won a fight with a 3-headed giant and got the most wonderful magic things from him. The cap of knowledge, which told you all that you wanted to know, the shoes of swiftness, which made you the fastest man in the world, the coat of invisibility, which made you invisible, and the sharp sword, which cut anything in 2 parts. All these wonderful things helped Jack to break the enchantments of the wicked magician and free the lady. The lady was very happy to return to her dear knight. Then the knight and his lady and Jack went to King Arthur's court, where they were received with great joy, and Jack was made a knight of the Round Table. Jack now decided to rid the country of giants. "There are still many bad giants in the country," said Jack to King Arthur, "and I wish to kill them and save thousands of people." The king listened to this noble wish, gave Jack all the things he needed, and sent him on his way. Jack rode over high hills and wonderful mountains, and after many days came upon a giant who was sitting in front of the cave where he lived. There was an iron club by his side. He was a horrible-looking giant. His eyes were like fire. His hair was like curled snakes. Jack got down from his horse and put on his invisible coat. Then he went up close to the giant and said, "Oh, there you are. It will not be long before I kill you." The giant could not see Jack, of course. Then Jack came nearer and killed the giant with his magic sword. After that, he went into the giant's cave. He passed through many rooms and came at last to a large room where was a boiling copper and a large table at which the giant usually had his dinner. In the next room, behind an iron gate, Jack found a lot of captives. The unhappy captives told Jack that the giant had caught them, and every day he killed and ate the fattest among them. Jack opened the gate and let the captives go out. They were very happy to be free again. Then Jack found the giant's treasure and divided the gold and silver equally among all the captives. After that, he took the happy people to the neighbouring castle, where they all had a feast and enjoyed themselves. Some days later, Jack heard that a giant with 2 heads named Thunderdell was coming to the castle. He was the brother of the giant Jack had killed, and he wanted to revenge himself on Jack. The castle was surrounded by a deep moat. There was only one drawbridge over the moat. So Jack asked some men to cut through this bridge on both sides, nearly to the middle. Then he put on his invisible coat, took his sharp sword, and went to meet the giant, not far from the castle. The giant could not see Jack, but he smelt him, and cried out these words, "Fee, fi, fo, fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive, or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." "So that's what you say," said Jack. "Was it you who killed my brother?" shouted the giant. "I'll revenge myself on you. I'll kill now and eat you." "You'll have to catch me first," said Jack. And he took off his invisible coat so that the giant could see him, put on his shoes of swiftness, and ran away from the giant, and the giant ran after him. The giant followed him, and the earth shook at every step. Jack ran and ran, with the giant after him. Then Jack ran lightly over the drawbridge, and the giant ran after him with his club. But when the giant reached the middle of the bridge, it broke down, and Thunderdell fell into the water of the moat. Jack, who was standing nearby, laughed at him as the giant tried to get out of the moat, but could not. At last, Jack got a rope and threw it over the 2 heads of the giant, and pulled him out of the moat with the help of a few horses. Then Jack cut off both of the giant's heads with his sharp sword. After this adventure, Jack returned to the court of King Arthur and rested for a while. After some time, however, Jack left King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table and set out to seek new adventures. He passed through many woods, and at last, late at night, came to the foot of a high mountain. Here there was a little house, and Jack knocked at the door. The door was opened by an old man, whose hair was as white as snow. "Father," said Jack, "have you a place to rest for a tired traveller?" "Yes," said the old man, "you are welcome to my poor house." So Jack went in, and the old man gave Jack some food. Then he said, "I see by your belt that you are that great Cornish man who has killed many giants. Now, my son, on the top of this mountain there is a castle, the castle of a giant whose name is Galligantua. With the help of an old magician, he has caught many knights and ladies and taken them to this castle. Here they were changed into birds and beasts. Some time ago, a beautiful young lady, a duke's daughter, was caught by the magician in her father's garden. Then, in the castle, he changed her into a white dog. Jack gave the old man his hand and said, "In the morning I'll try to free the lady." The old man said, "Many knights have tried to break the enchantment and save her, but all were killed by 2 dreadful griffins which guard the castle gate. The griffins kill everyone who comes near. But you, my son, have your invisible coat, and you can pass them, and they will not see you. When you come to the gate of the castle, you will read on the stone of the gate how to break the enchantment. In the morning, Jack got up and put on his invisible coat, his magic cap, and his shoes of swiftness. When he reached the top of the mountain, he saw the dreadful griffins, but Jack passed them, for they could not see him. Jack walked up to the gate and found a golden trumpet hanging from a silver chain, and read on the stone of the gate these words: "Whoever shall this trumpet blow shall cause the giant's overthrow and break the black enchantment." When Jack read these words, he seized the trumpet and blew it. At once the gate opened and the castle trembled. The giant and the magician trembled too, but they trembled with fear. The giant lifted his club, but Jack, at one blow, cut off his head, and the magician was carried off by the wind. Then the enchantment was broken, and all the birds and beasts were changed into lords and ladies again, and the castle disappeared in a cloud of smoke. The next day, Jack and the knights and ladies he had freed went to King Arthur's court. Then King Arthur ordered the Duke to marry his daughter to honest and brave Jack. So they were married, and the whole country was filled with joy at the wedding. The king gave Jack a beautiful castle, and he and his lady lived there in great joy and happiness for many, many years. Answer the questions. Number 1. Was Jack a Yorkshireman or a Cornishman? Number 2. What made the people of Cornwall poor and unhappy? Number 3. Did the magistrates ask Jack to rid the country of the terrible giant? Number 4. Did the giant hear Jack dig a pit? Number 5. What things did Jack take with himself to kill Cormoran? Number 6. What disturbed the giant's rest? Number 7. How did the magistrate thank Jack for his victory over Cormoran? Number 8. What made Jack feel frightened in Blunderbor's castle? Number 9. What things did Jack use to kill Blunderbore and his brother? Number 10. Who were Blunderbor's captives? Number 11. What was the Welsh giant's cunning plan to kill Jack? Number 12. What magic things helped Jack and the noble knight to break the enchantments of the wicked magician and to free the lady? Number 13. Did Jack become enchanted by the gold and silver he found in the giant's cave? Number 14. Was it easy for Thunderdell to catch Jack? Number 15. What place did the dreadful griffins guard? Number 16. Who were the beasts and birds in Gargantua's castle? Number 17. Who was the best friend of the giant Gargantua? Number 18. Who helped Jack to break the enchantments of the old magician? Number 19. Did Jack kill the magician? Number 20. How did the country celebrate Jack's victory?